Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Trade Decorator Festival. This afternoon I'm joined live by Gary Watson from PeelTec. We're going to have a demonstration of two revolutionary new products for the painting and decorating sector. PeelTec, which is the latest technology for paint removal, and CT1, which is the ultimate development in bonding and sealing. Now, I just want to show you a little around the platform before we do the demonstration. For those of you that aren't familiar with Crowdcast, you'll see there's a comment box to my right. Feel free to comment. If you do have any specific questions that you'd like to put to Gary, as Gary Watson will join us live in the next element of the session, we'll be going to another session to do the Q&A. So if you could wait until that happens, and I'll tell you exactly where to put your questions in, and we'll get to those in the next part of the session. As you can see, we have got a competition running to win some PeelTec and CT1 goodies. There's a hamper full of lots of branded products and merchandise. That's in our Trade Decorator forum, and there's a link there for you to join if you're not already a member. That ends on the 30th of September, so you've just got a day or so to enter. So I'm going to show you now the demonstration for PeelTec and CT1, and I'll join you back here in about 10 minutes.
Okay guys, I'm Kevin from CTEC Midlands, and the product I'm going to show you is our new launch. It's our PeelTec, so it's very new to the market. So basically what we have is a demo board here with all different types of paints, with undercoats, varnishes on all different types of materials like timber, aluminium and brickwork. Okay, so what we do is we just shake the product very well for a couple of seconds and we spray it onto each area. We leave it for about 2 minutes. Okay, so all right, as you can see, that will start working on the material to try to remove the paint. Paint strippers over the years, they contained a chemical called methyl chloride, and methyl chloride was a very toxic chemical. So what we've done is we've removed methyl chloride from the manufacturer, which means it gives it a very safe environmental effect, but yet safe to use on the base material, but yet it's very effective in removing the paint. Okay, so it was a bit of a challenge to get as friendly an environmental product as possible to do such a difficult task. As I said, normally we wait 3 to 5 minutes after spraying before we apply. But if you can see, very, very quickly, the product is getting to work. Even here we have blue matte with undercoat. You can see the way it's taking it away, very, very quickly. The longer you leave it, the more effective it is. We have a mahogany gloss finish. Look at that. The way it removes the varnish, but yet doesn't damage the timber underneath. Okay. Black oxide, red oxide, black satin and silver acrylic paints on different materials. So you can see the effect on all the different materials, on all different types of paints. So it's working within 5 minutes of applying, okay? One of the most difficult aspects is if you have a spindle, and here we have a red gloss with undercoat on the spindle, which is a very, very difficult task. But if you can see, with PeelTec, it makes it so simple. See that? So even very difficult jobs are made very, very easy with PeelTec. To explain a bit about the science of it and how non-aggressive it is, we take a very light cardboard card that we use, which contains litho ink, which is an oil-based ink. Okay? So I'm going to spray our normal multi-solve, non-aggressive solvent on one, and I'm going to spray PeelTec on the other. So the challenge here would be to remove the ink effectively from the card, but not to damage the card. Okay? So with the multi-solve, it has no effect on the ink, because the ink is embedded in the card. But if we come to the PeelTec, again, normally you give it a bit longer. But you can see the effect of the PeelTec on the card, removing the ink, but yet showing no damage to the card. All right? So that is our product, PeelTec. It's our new invention, our new creation for effectively removing paint, but yet is environmentally and user friendly.
Hi Andy. CT1, latest technology in sealing and bonding, replaces numerous products in one, including silicones, mastics, acrylics, decorator's cork, all in one tube, and it does more. Okay. First of all, once you've opened the product and you've got some left in the cartridge, all you've got to do is leave a little blob hanging out the top of the nozzle like so, and that's good for 4 months, so you don't get any wastage whatsoever. You can use...
So like others, it's not going to go off in here,
No.
and then you've got to start pulling it through with an old nail or something.
That's right, just acts like a cork in a wine bottle, pop it off and away you go. So when you buy a 290ml cartridge, you get to use a full 290ml cartridge. So you can use CT1 overhead. Traditional products will slump and sag, okay? With CT1, this doesn't happen. You can actually stack the product to a depth of about 50ml, no slumpage whatsoever. Can I do that over your head? Job done.
Watch the hair, it's expensive this.
Okay, so no slumpage whatsoever. What's unique about the product, it's a unique hybrid polymer that doesn't contain any solvents. Often mimicked, but never equalled. So as you can see or smell, there's no harmful solvents in the product. So it's guaranteed never to shrink or crack. With that as well, Andy, you can actually spread the products. You can actually use it as a filler, and that can be painted over in about 1 hour with most traditional paints. Okay, so it's used as the ultimate filler as well.
So you've got almost a silicone, a filler,
Yep, an adhesive.
and a cork, all of which can be, and the great thing with that,
Yep.
you haven't got to start rubbing that down, have you?
No, you get a
not
nice,
like-
nice,
yeah,
smooth
nice
finish.
finish on it.
And you've got some CT1 on your fingers there. Very easy to remove from the skin. Okay, we've done a lot of research into snagging, and the reason why snagging occurs most of the time is something hasn't bonded properly or something's leaking. So we say use a good quality product to begin with in the first place, and that will eliminate the snagging. Okay,
And also, as a builder, we hate snagging.
exactly,
So if we can have one tube
exactly.
that does it all,
Job done.
yeah.
Okay. Some sealant manufacturers claim their product can be used on damp surfaces and wet surfaces, but when you actually come to use them, it's not the case. Here, we have a bit of a damp surface here, Andy. Would you agree?
Yeah, just a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you hold that for me, please? Okay. So, CT1 can be used underwater. Not a problem, as you can see. And you can actually mould that underwater as well. So if you've got a leaking trap under a sink, for example, you can spread that below and above the water line. Okay.
And how long's the cure time on that?
Okay. A full chemical cure is 24 hours. But the product's moisture curing, so wet conditions, it will speed up the curing process. Okay. But it will seal instantly. So as you can see, it's actually dispersed the water. I can put a cut in there. Job done, sealed. Okay. So the other problematic application you have is leaking gutters. Okay. Nightmare application. And let me create a leaking gutter for you. There's your problem. There's your solution. Job done. Isn't that amazing? Okay.
Good bit of kit.
So that's the sealing side, Andy. What's equally impressive is the bonding side, and we'll come on to the bonding a little bit more later on because we've got some challenges for you. But it will bond various materials, wood, polystyrene. Again, because of the no solvent content, doesn't attack sensitive material like your polystyrene. So your Celotech boards, absolutely fine. Glass.
There's water in there.
There's water
as well.
in there, so
Yeah.
mold resistant. Okay. Mirrors, again, because there's no isocyanates in the product, doesn't attack the backing of the mirror. Tiles, marble, copper, lead, plastics, polycarbonate sheeting, metals, and this is on a small surface area, as you can see. Just feel the mass
That's a concrete block, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a concrete block.
So what's that? 20 kilos roughly?
I would say, yeah, 15 to 20 kilos. So
and that's not
very strong in terms of bonding, and that's not going anywhere.
No.
Okay, so that's the bonding side. Come on to the flexibility as well, because the product's very flexible, super flexible. Very strong in terms of flexibility, and there's all your different colours. We have 10 colours now in the range. The new one is the anthracite, which we just launched as of last week. Here we have Pyrex glass dish onto a piece of plywood. CT1 is very strong in terms of bonding. The actual bonding strength is 265 newtons per centimetre squared, which basically means it's the same as an aluminium weld. Okay, very, very strong in terms of bonding. We've got a nice bead around the dish here, one we prepared earlier, and inside is a £50 note.
That's the bit that got my attention, the pinky in there, yeah.
Of course, absolutely. So I hope you had your Weetabix today. So the challenge is for you to prise this dish away from the plywood to retrieve the £50 note.
So you're saying if I can get that off there, that's mine?
That's yours. Job done.
Right. This is absolutely stuck on, and there's no way in a month of Sundays that is coming off.
The other application we have is timber to timber. Okay, 4x2 by 4x2. And this time, Andy, you can prise these two pieces of material together.
Well, there's another
There's
one down there.
£100 in it for you.
A couple of bits of 3x2 stuck together. All I've got to do is separate them. So I'm going to need a couple of lads on the end of this, and I'm going to lift this, and that £100 means we've got a decent bit of breakfast. Sam? So all I've got to do is lift this off.
Just lift it up, Andy, and it's all yours.
No breakfast today.
Better luck next time.
That is impressive. It's not even given, is it?
No.
Okay, so the products you just saw there were PeelTec, which was the paint stripper, and CT1, which is the bonding and sealing adhesive. We're going to go live now with Gary Watson from PeelTec. Hi everyone, good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I've got Gary Watson here from CT1. Hi Gary.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. We saw a couple of products there demonstrated, which was the PeelTec, the paint remover, and CT1, the bonding and sealing adhesive. I'm just going to show people around the session, just so for people that aren't familiar with Crowdcast, you'll see we've got a comments box down the right-hand side there. Feel free to comment. If you do have a specific question that you'd like to put to Gary, there is an Ask a Question button right beneath us. If you can hit that and type your question in, and what that will do is enable us to keep track of the session and make sure we don't miss your question. If somebody else asks the question you want to ask, you can vote on that question so that we see that there's a number of you would like Gary to answer that if there are quite a few questions. Just to remind you, we have got our competition running in the Trade Decorator Forum, where you can win a hamper full of CT1 and PeelTec goodies. There's a link there in the comments box. If you copy and paste that or click on that at the end of the session, it will take you through to the forum. And if you're not already a member, you can join in the competition. So Gary, how long does it take for PeelTec to work?
Well, that's a good question, Paul, and it works on contact, actually. Starts working straight away, but it's really effective after about 5 minutes, to answer your question.
Okay, and will it remove graffiti from concrete, say?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets used for graffiti removal extensively, actually, particularly by, it could be local councils, authorities, that type of thing, because unfortunately graffiti is a bit of a problem that don't seem to be going away. So to answer your question, yes, it's fantastic for removing graffiti.
And I was thinking about other applications and things where people might use it. What about if the gates were really rusty? Would it still be effective?
Yes, it would. I guess you've got an application at home, but yes, certainly it does get used in applications where you're removing layers of paint from your garden gate and that type of thing. So yeah, really effective in applications like that. Yes.
So because it's so effective, does it have harmful chemicals in it?
No. Years gone by, the sort of older fashioned, if you like, paint removal products, they used to contain a product called methyl chloride, and although it was really effective and it certainly removed paints and multiple materials, it was harmful to you and not very good for either yourself or the environment. So our formulation was manufactured with that key in mind, to be really effective, super effective and fast, yet safe for not only you but also the environment. So it doesn't contain any methyl chloride, so that's a really good product in that regard as well.
Okay, and what about stockists? Where can I buy it from?
I suppose there's a number of stockists, but the one that comes to mind, certainly, for the painters and decorators, of course, is Crown. You can buy from all Crown decorating centres.
Oh yeah, I noticed that you had that on the demonstrations and things. Oh, we've got a question here from Mark Rigby. Mark, in fact, I've not mentioned to all of you, if you want to come up on the screen and put your questions directly to Gary, I can bring you up on the screen. If you don't want to, it's fine. I can present your question for you. Mark, do you want me to ask Gary a question, or do you want to come up and join us? Can you just say yes or no in the comments for me? Oh, I think he's a bit shy. No, he doesn't want to. No problem.
Don't blame you, Mark.
That's fine. Gary, he says, you say it can be used for multiple purposes. Is it flexible enough when dry to be an adequate cork?
Oh, are we talking about CT1 here, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, of course. No, it's a really good question, and it gets used extensively as a cork because there's plenty of corks out there, and there's a lot of them, which is fine, but they often crack because CT1 is completely solvent free. That won't happen, so it's a fantastic cork to answer your question, and of course it's over paintable with the vast majority of paints. So it's excellent for that, and it will remain flexible as well, to answer your question.
Okay, brilliant. Do we have any other questions? If you want to type those in, and I'll get to those as we go along. I mean, will it remove paint from PVC, for instance, Gary?
Yeah, it will. It's excellent for that type of thing. And I don't know if you guys remember, but on the video that you saw that one of our guys, Kevin, was doing at one of our shows recently, he showed it whereby it was removing PeelTec was removing lithoprint, that they call it, which is like an oil-based ink from a piece of card, which is essentially paper, but a thick piece of paper. But it removed it really, really effectively, but it didn't harm the base material. And it's like that as well in terms of certain materials like fiberglass and so on and so forth. It's not, it's not going to damage the substrate.
Okay. And what about car paint? Would it remove car paint?
It will. In terms of car paint, to answer your question, you wouldn't use it to take multiple layers off from things like polished car, a car, for example, car paint. No, because it's a slightly different thing. They're a different kind of polished material than traditional paint would be. So, but it would, you could get rid of paint, no problem. But obviously, if it was you wouldn't use it to take it off, say, for example, a motor vehicle, if that would make sense, because they're a different type of paint.
Oh, I see. And do you have to wear gloves and a mask when you're using it?
You don't have to. I mean, of course, like anything, if you was working in an enclosed environment with with not an awful lot of fresh air and that type of thing, then personally speaking, I probably would. And especially this day and age, you're probably going to have to wear gloves and masks whether you want to or not anyway. But so it's a good thing. It's not necessarily so, but it's probably a good thing if you do.
And does it just come in the one size, or if I got a larger job, can you get bigger size containers?
No. It's only in a 500ml can at the moment. I think that may well evolve because we do get asked from time to time, and an increasing number of people are asking that question actually. But no, to answer your question, just a 500ml aerosol at present.
Okay. You mentioned it wouldn't be successful on car paint. Is it going to work on all other paint?
Yeah, it's perfect for all sorts of traditional sort of, whether they're lacquers, varnishes, undercoats, gloss. The list is endless. I mean, there's an endless array of paint permutations, as you know full well. But yeah, absolutely, in all the traditional paints that you and I would use, in the home, be it commercial or domestic, no problem. So you can use it on. It could be emulsions, it could be, I don't know, gloss, it could be acrylic paints, red oxide, black satins, loads.
Okay. And moving on to CT1, can you paint over it?
Yes, you can. Certainly with the vast majority of paints, water-based paints, no problem. But yes, you can. The product itself starts to skin over in about 10 minutes. So in theory, you could lay a brush over it then and there, I guess. But we always say give it about an hour, and then it's over paintable.
Okay. And can you use any paint with it?
Yeah, no problem.
That's not a problem. Will it change colour? Some of these types of products turn yellow, don't they? For instance, would it turn yellow?
No. We got a new formulation, actually, CT1, that is called TRIBRID formulation, which we've been working on for a number of years. We went to market about a year ago, Paula, because you're right. What people want, they want many things from a sealant and an adhesive, but they certainly want colour retention. So the new TRIBRID formulation that we have, its colour retention is fantastic. So it doesn't change colour.
Okay. And how long would you say you need to wait before you paint over it?
Well, yeah, you can paint over it fairly quickly, but we always say give it about an hour and then it's over paintable.
Okay. And what about over cracks? Would it be good over cracks?
Yeah, it's fantastic for that. Again, because it's completely solvent free and so on and so forth, it's not going to crack or anything like that. And of course, as I think my colleague might have said on the VT there, that if leaks occur, more often than not, it's not because you or I have done anything wrong. Perhaps it's often because of settlement cracks have occurred. Things move, as they all invariably do. But with CT1, because it's really it remains flexible to the bitter end, that doesn't happen. So these things, leaks like that don't happen. So that's fantastic.
You answered my next question. I was going to ask you if it would remain flexible.
No, absolutely. The flexibility is really key, because, as I say, very often there are a lot of products out there that cure, but they cure in such a way that they kind of go hard, really. They cure almost like rock hard, and that's not a good thing. You need to have that flexibility. You need to have that movement to allow for movement.
Okay. And have you got a price point? What would I be looking at paying for it?
For a tube of CT1?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're looking at CT1. The SSP for CT1 is £10.95 a cartridge.
Okay, so that's quite expensive. So what's the difference between that and other mastics?
It's cheap for what it does, Paul. But there's loads of reasons, I guess. I think the key to it is it's a ubiquitous product. You see, CT1 is it's a sealant, it's an adhesive, and it's the ultimate filler. So it does everything all in the one cartridge. It's stronger. It's super strong, 3 times stronger than the original formulation, if you would, which was some years ago. But it's super strong, as you also might have seen in the VT you showed earlier. Great colour retention, of course, with this new TRIBRID formulation, which is key. Super flexible, super strong. It's got lots of other wonderful things that set it apart from traditional silicones, mastics, polyurethanes, and that sort of thing. It lasts a couple of years in the cartridge. When you've opened it, if you leave it bead on the end, you've got a minimum of 4 months to finish the cartridge off, that type of thing. With a lot of alternative products, you're lucky to get 4 days. It's got lots of accreditations, ICEGA approval, which is like the food grade approval, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So it's got accreditations coming out of its ears, really.
Oh, I mean, one of the big points you mentioned is the fact that it will last so long once you've opened it. I mean, that in itself makes it worth paying a bit extra for a product like that. If it's you're not going to use the whole product, then you've got it to use on another job, haven't you?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, absolutely. I mean, listen, you can buy a tube of silicone, perhaps, and it might be a £5. But if you buy that tube of silicone and you open it and it's a £5, and you use a quarter of the cartridge today to give it for a given application, and then you put it in the back of your vehicle, or you put it in the garage, or wherever you store such stuff, then you go to use it in a week's time and try to use it, but you've had to throw 3/4 of it away because the product's cured, and you've thrown it in the bin. Well, actually, per volume, that's a £20 tube of silicone. So at least with CT1, it's a 290ml cartridge, goes in a traditional mastic gun. You use all of it.
And you get what you pay for.
Correct.
Well, have we got any more questions before we end the session with Gary this morning? Well, it's been great having you on the show, Gary. I really enjoyed our session, and thank you so much for joining us.
No, thanks, Paula. I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for being in the session.
Thanks,
Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.